Hello, my name is Justin Clark, student of physical therapy, and today I will be talking about the neuromuscular adaptations to exercise. So before we get started, I think an important question to answer is how do muscle contractions occur? Skeletal muscles, which are the muscles that we are able to control voluntarily, are composed of muscle fibers. Within these muscle fibers are myofibrils that consist of sarcomeres. Sarcomeres contain thin actin filaments on its edges and thick myosin filaments in its center. A motor unit is made of a motor neuron and the muscle fiber or fiber it innervates. This can be about 10 fibers per unit in small muscles that are required to be precise, and as many as hundreds to 1,000 in large muscles that are mainly used to generate high amounts of force and do not need to be as precise. An action potential propagated down to a nerve terminal will cause a voltage-gated calcium channel to open and allow calcium to rush in. This will stimulate acetylcholine to be released into the neuromuscular junction. Acetylcholine will cause a cascade of events once binding to the nicotinic receptors and ultimately end in calcium being released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the cytoplasm. Calcium will bind to troponin C, causing a transformational change so the actin binding sites are open. Myosin heads will attach to these binding sites and perform a power stroke, pulling the Z lines or the end of the sarcomeres together, creating a muscle contraction. So how can we increase the amount of force that we are able to produce through skeletal muscle contractions? Well, we can increase the cross-sectional area. This allows for more binding sites of actin and myosin, which allow for a stronger contraction. This can take place through hypertrophy or hyperplasia. We can also increase rate coding and motor recruitment. These last two are what we will be focusing on for this presentation. Rate coding is the frequency of action potentials being transmitted. A single action potential will cause a twitch to occur. Multiple action potentials can create multiple twitches, with each successive twitch producing more force. This is known as unfused tetanus. Finally, fused tetanus occurs when the rate of action potentials is so high that rather than twitches, a prolonged muscle contraction occurs, producing significantly higher amounts of force. As mentioned previously, another way to increase force generated by skeletal muscle is increasing motor recruitment. It is important to mention a few principles when talking about this, with the first one being the all or none principle. When an action potential occurs within a motor unit, the associated muscle fibers will contract. However, a larger stimulus will not make this contraction any stronger. The second principle is the size principle, which explains the order in which motor units are recruited from smallest to largest. Smaller motor units will be recruited first because they are more easily excitable. As need for force increases, larger motor units will be recruited. Therefore, the more motor units that are recruited, the more force a muscle is able to generate. So how can we improve our strength through these devices of neural drive? Well, studies have shown that the majority of all strength gains during the first 8 to 12 weeks of a strength program can be attributed to neural adaptations. Studies have also supported targeting fast-twitch muscle fibers for optimal neural adaptations to increase strength. This doesn't necessarily have to be quick contractions, but can also be high-intensity exercises of high loads for low reps. And it has also been shown that individuals have demonstrated larger increases of strength in movements they are familiar with. So training the specific movements that a person is desiring to be stronger at will most effectively carry over. So how can this information be helpful in the clinic? Well, first, I think it's important to realize why strength is important. Strength is a necessary trait needed for activities of daily living and the ability to participate in society in a ways a patient will likely want to. Strength affects the ability to ambulate, perform tasks, and can decrease likelihood of falls. And this information can be important in our programming by acknowledging, in many cases, the strength gains we are seeking to produce in our patients will likely be more from neural adaptations rather than hypertrophy, unless the patient is receiving physical therapy over an extended period of time. And finally, building off of this, we should be specific with the exercise selection to mimic movements we are trying to strengthen. For example, if a patient has difficulty going upstairs and fatigues quickly from this activity, the best way to improve this ability is to have them practice walking upstairs. So this concludes this presentation. Thank you.